Oh, I'm live. So, am I really? Welcome to live chat. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, so, streaming wars. Is Netflix dead? I don't think so. So, there are going to be a lot of streaming services launching this year. I believe Viacom's got one, Paramount, Disney for sure. Apple is going to try to launch a new one, and Amazon's just always adding on. And let's not forget that Netflix is been adding brand new content for forever. So, and from what I hear, several of their services are going to pop up. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Is Netflix going to die? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they had the foresight enough to know that other streaming services would happen and they couldn't rely on getting the rights to other movies and shows and other content. So they decided, let's make our own. That being said, they might weather a storm, but I think they'll be okay. I think they're going to last. I also think Disney is going to last. And I believe that Apple has the potential to, and maybe Amazon, but I never really hear great stuff about any of their series. I might be wrong. I haven't seen any of it, but I haven't heard great things either. So, anyway, the series that I think is going to be in trouble, well, the services that I think are going to be in trouble is the CBS app, where that has basically Star Trek, the new one. I don't think they can just go on the strength of one franchise. A lot of these big studios who are getting into the streaming service, they're kind of banking on the fact that we all have all this backlog of content and we have a few franchises that we can draw people in with, like, hey, we've got a new series for this. But as people are getting rid of cable more and more, as it currently stands, there's still 70% of households have some sort of cable thing, but 60% in America also have some sort of, they have one streaming service. That's the statistic. Um, I think it's going to get worse and worse for traditional media and more for streaming services. Who knows? Maybe the streaming service is just the new status quo. All that money that we would put into the cable bills and such, maybe we're going to put it into having multiple streaming services. But I don't think that's the case. I think what we're headed for is another repetition of the video game crash of the 80s. What happened was there were so many different kinds of systems, a plethora of them, and so many third party developers who were trying to meet the need of those systems, and they developed subpar games. And at a point, the market was so saturated that the consumers were like, we just don't care. And they stopped purchasing. And so the video game industry went bust. And the Nintendo came in. They introduced the Famicom, aka the Nintendo Entertainment System, and they became the Walt Disney of video games. And then Sega started to do all the things that Nintendo wouldn't do, and we got the Sega Genesis in the US. It was known as something else in Japan and the rest of the world. I'm not sure what it was. And then when Nintendo and Sony fell out, we got the PlayStation. And then Xbox happened in the early 2000s. And now we've basically got Nintendo, we've got PlayStation, and we've got Xbox. So we have some major players. I feel that what's going to happen is we're headed for that again. We're going to have a whole bunch of streaming services. A lot of them will be around for a bit, and then it's going to come down to some top tier ones, survival of the fittest, basically. This shouldn't be a surprise to people, but it's going to happen. I guarantee that the people who make the best stuff, they're going to get attention. And, you know, I don't think people are going to pay so much money for a whole bunch of different streaming services. The whole reason we got streaming services is because we didn't like cable and all those gratuitous fees. So to any of the streaming services who want to survive, make great stuff,